All right, today we've got Adam Robinson on from Ceresys, and Adam's going to just talk a little bit about how they use online marketing and content marketing to attract folks and reach new audiences online. And so, Adam, the first question for you today is if you could give us an overview on how your digital strategy is set up and what are the key components that you use on a daily basis.
Sure. Well, let me give you a little bit of backstory about Ceresys. The company's about 16 years old. They've never done any traditional marketing, never any online marketing. They've grown each year because they simply are a great company. They have great products, great services. They've grown all by referral-based leads and cold calling. And so when a recruiter came along to hire me, I'd come from the agency world and was very attracted at the opportunity to focus in-house on one company. And so first things first, with any online or digital presence, you got to make sure the house is secure, that it's set up, that it's clean, that the infrastructure is there to support future digital marketing things such as content marketing, search engine optimization, and then advertising type things like pay-per-click and various content channels. So the first thing we did was redo the website. I knew it was very important as far as the content on that website, and I didn't really care a lot about the design. I didn't put a lot of resources into that. What I really cared more about and what I knew was going to make Ceresys successful in the long term and make it sustainable was the content. And so getting that company story is very important. So I went about interviewing the owners of the company, asking them why they started it, why their product and services, offer a unique opportunity for them as a company, and kind of extract what are the things that make you different. I then interviewed all the department heads to kind of continue to go down and boil it down to what is each department's role in the company, and then all the way down to the employees and kind of ask them as they interface with customers and in the sales process what they're hearing from the marketplace as far as objections or what's really important to the end customer. And I boiled it down all the way back then finally to the customers. So then I talked to some big customers and I said, well, what's important to you? Why do you engage with Ceresys products and services? And I was able to define who my target audience is. And I knew that once I understood that it was manufacturers and distributors, and then underneath that, what's really important, their freight, supply chains, how they operate their business today, as manufacturing is changing so quickly in today's economic and technological environment. And so I sort of set forth the strategy that simply said, okay, my target audience are manufacturers and distributors, and here's what they care about. And here are all the products and services and departments that we have. And so then I categorized each department, I categorized each service, and then I kind of categorized the customer types and then the things within those customers that are important to them. And so I put together a content plan based on 13 categories. I kind of had some ideas of what I wanted to write about just in that interview process, but it's also important not only talking about what's important to those folks, but they're also kind of leading them when it comes to trends, tips, and best practices. And so in order to make that content marketing really relevant to those folks, beyond just what they care about every day, I have to also read a lot of articles each day. So I read about 30 to 50 articles a day. They're all curated feedly. And because I kind of have a really intimate understanding of the types of writing, you really are able to then take what's important to the customer, what's coming next, and what we do is we simply write at least one original blog post per day. Now, you may not have a lot of resources for that, and that's a big challenge for some marketing folks. And so, there's a ton of content marketing companies out there that you can outsource to. We don't do that currently ourselves, but I would highly recommend doing that because I happen to be an experienced digital marketer. I happen to have the resources for my company to do that, and I spend 60% of my time doing content marketing. And so we knew with that content marketing, and as we engaged in social media and distributed that content, we would start to increase our brand awareness. And so that was the first order of business. And then obviously, by feeding the search engines every day original content that is properly on-page SEO optimized, or search engine optimized, it's kind of redundant, but we knew that we would start to rank and get more clout, and people would understand who we are, and we'd start attracting people. And then, on the website, we made sure we had good, strong calls to action next to the blogs, and as we started getting in leads and we created data, I'm constantly looking at, well, what's working, what's bringing in the eyeballs, is it bringing in the right folks? And that the proof in the pudding of that is the folks who reach out to you and engage in social media without you having to actively go out to them. If they meet that original target audience that you have determined in that kind of market research phase, then it's paying off. And so our content marketing strategy and our digital marketing strategy is just, we want to be a thought leader. We want to write about things that are of value to our target audience and isn't too salesy. I really think that the consumer today is pretty smart, and they're looking for information, and they're all the way down your sales funnel further than you think by the time they generate an inbound lead. And as long as you're writing to stuff that's important to them and that is based off of good, relevant research, and you put it in online communities such as LinkedIn, and you put them in groups that are of relevance to that piece of content, over time, if you stick at it, sort of like losing weight, you will become that organic, sustainable thought leader. And I think we've started to achieve that pretty well so far, only after 9 months of executing that content marketing strategy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does your content creation team look like? Is it just you, or do you bring in other folks to help you?
That's a good question. Actually, it's just me. But I've done something really, really well, and I think it's guest blogger outreach. Now, you got to be really careful with this. I'm pretty much the active generator of obtaining guest bloggers. I don't really allow, sometimes I do, but I don't really allow the companies who email me and say, hey, let's put blogs on each other's blogs so we can link exchange. I'm not really in favor of doing things for linking, and as we're seeing from Matt Cutts just yesterday, the SEO spam guru over at Google, he pretty much put the coffin on guest blogging. Well, not entirely, but in this way, in the linking way. And so I would encourage you, if you're also having trouble finding resources for content, to network in social media and find people who are going to write content that is still of value to your target audience. And don't care too much about linking back. I mean, that's part of it, but make sure it really care more about brand awareness and relevance, and if it continues to make you be the leader in guiding people in good content in your target audience. Because those kinds of spammy behaviors will be penalized over the long run. And to me, SEO content marketing is just write about what you care about, write about what your target audience writes about, and SEO will take care of itself. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to try so hard.
Totally agree with that. I think you bring up a good point with the guest blogging and really being careful on who you allow in, because on your blog it's your platform. You don't want to bring in the wrong kind of stuff, and I think that's an astute point on your part. But from a lead generation standpoint, when someone visits your blog for the first time and they've been reading a few times and they do become a lead in your system, what kind of marketing do you use to follow up with them? Is there any nurturing in place? When does lead go from marketing to?
Typically when someone generates an inbound lead, one of the challenges that we have as a company, and we're still kind of figuring out and fine-tuning in the lead side of things, the inbound lead side of things, is creating a form that creates a qualified lead. The challenge with our company, and this is going to be different for any company, but we have to ask yourself is it going to waste a lot of time by getting bad leads? Getting an inbound lead is one thing, getting a good quality lead is another. And so we kind of added things to our lead form, if you will. Just one qualifying question. Do you ship freight in North America? Because logistics and that content we write appeals to the world, but we can't help the world. We can only help those in North America. And so once they become a lead, we usually hand them out to the sales folks right away because our sales cycle is really long. but we do nurture them over the time because it is such a long process, or they're just not ready to make a decision. Working with the salespeople, they may become interested, but they're not ready to make a change. And so what we do is we take the best content data-wise, what had the most visits, what had the most time on site. We look at our analytics on the blog and the content, and we take the best of the best, and we put it into our email newsletter. We then, just like the categories for content, we then target our target audience in our contact database by which category they best fit under based on their original interest. And so that way that content continues to be super relevant to them. And I got to tell you, email newsletters, webinars, anything that requires content becomes so much more scalable, and especially like a guy like me who is a marketing department of one, because if I'm writing a blog every day, it's almost as if the webinar presentations and the email newsletters write themselves. I'm literally copying and pasting that, so I don't have to go to an email newsletter and say, well, what am I going to put in this newsletter? Well, I know that these supply chain blogs go in this supply chain email newsletter because those are the top visited, the most time on site, and I let the data be my guide for future success. I'm kind of priming my future success, so you can think of it like that. Use your data. That's what I highly recommend.
Awesome. So use your data to go back at the work you've already created and just find creative ways to repurpose it and continue to fill your marketing calendar.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that you and I talked about before we started this Google Hangout was, we digital marketers have to hustle. We're tasked with so much: social media, responding in a timely manner, public relations, getting leads, proving ROI of this stuff, and it's a lot to keep up with as a marketer. So do yourself a favor and let your hardest work, the content creation, in my opinion, continue to be your best friend, and use the heck out of it. Don't just write a blog post, tweet it once, and then go away. If you follow us on Twitter, we repost our blogs daily. It's because you might be on Twitter at 8 a.m. and I won't tweet it at 8 a.m., but you might go on at 4 p.m. and see it then. And so, people hop in and out of online. You can't expect to think that everybody that you're engaged with or who follows you on social media or in a LinkedIn group is there and online that day.
Yeah, great advice. So once you've put all of this effort into getting your articles posted on your blog, how do you leverage LinkedIn specifically to attract those kind of those groups or communities from LinkedIn back?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, there's no silver bullet or easy way to do it. But when it comes to marketing your content into LinkedIn groups, distribution's only the first step. You need to find some good tools to make it easy to distribute into multiple LinkedIn groups, and there's several out there. But once you do that, you got to make sure that, one, if people leave a comment on your discussion, that you get engaged back so they know that you're there, that you're not just there to put links and spam everybody in the groups. But also participate in other discussions as well. And that allows you to really feel engaged in the group, to really get ready to receive future content. So in 10 days, if I've engaged with somebody 2 or 3 times on LinkedIn, they're probably more likely to read my post in that LinkedIn group. Additionally, managers you never know who you're going to get in a LinkedIn manager. And if they see that all you're doing is putting in links and you're not engaging, they're going to block you or kick you out. And then that's going to get you site-wide automatic moderation. And then your posts don't even get through to the group because they're sitting in pending forever, or they never get approved. I also really pay attention to how effective these groups are. And I leave them fast if they're ineffective, because you only have 50 to join. And I always make it a point to reach out to the group manager and say, hey, we're content creators. We are going to post things of relevance, but you are going to see a lot of discussions from us. But we will also engage a lot in this group because our goal is to learn, and I truly do learn a lot from these groups. I mean, I'm a marketer. I'm not a logistics guy or a manufacturing guy, but I've learned a heck of a lot just by engaging myself. So allow other people to make you smart, and I think you've seen some of the posts that we've curated by using the comments of other people on LinkedIn as a post, and then we can mention them and their companies, and then they're hyper engaged into our content. So make the people a part of your content too. It'll really work well for you.
Those are some awesome tips. If someone's looking for a tool to distribute into LinkedIn groups, what would be the tool that you would recommend?
I would definitely have them check out Octopus. That's the hands down. It does the same thing as Hootsuite as far as get you into a lot of groups with one button push, but the difference is the analytics it gives you, such as it boils down specific groups and how well they're engaging with your content, how many clicks you get from each group, and then it gives you reports on if your post went through to that group. So then you can truly analyze, well, this manager is either lazy or something, and maybe I should reach out to him, or maybe I should leave, or the group's really relevant, but nobody's really clicking on anything. And so it gives you that information to make decisions that are smarter so your content is seen. Ain't no point in creating content if nobody sees it.
Amen. Awesome advice. All right, Adam, thank you so much for your tips and advice. I think they're going to be super helpful for folks. If someone wants to get in contact with you, what is the #1 best place to go?
Probably Twitter. Go onto Twitter and follow Cerasis, @Cerasis, and I'm always pretty engaged there. You'll probably hear back from me within 30 minutes, if not sooner.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Pleasure to have you on here as the first guest of the B2B Marketing Showcase. Anyone who's got questions for Adam, hit him up on Twitter.
All right. Thanks for having me, Andrew. Really appreciate it.